So I know I don't post on here a lot, but I don't know. The Lord gave me a beautiful dream, honestly, and it was interesting. It was I'll just take it to where I remember um you know where I became, I guess, conscious in the dream. So it seemed as if my brother and my sister were in the car driving, and it's like I think it was like because the brothers I have, they're half brothers, so they're not from the same mother. But this was my one half brother, Chaz, and he was driving the vehicle, and it was like my sister was in the front passenger seat, and it seemed like maybe there was like a row of kids behind them, and then in the back row there was like one kid. And it was interesting because um, I was there, I was present, but nobody knew I was there except for the kid in the back seat. And the kid in the back seat um, was my nephew, um, Cameron. And I remember it was Cameron when he was like a little kid. And we were talking, and he was like he was asking me questions about Jesus, and I was telling him about Jesus. And then he was asking me about forgiveness, and he was like, "Is this what forgiveness means?" And he gave me like a definition, like if somebody did something to him that he um, would still be friends with them. And I'm like, yeah, Cameron, it's exactly like that. If somebody does something, you just forgive them. You forget about whatever they did to you, and you treat them like it never ever happened. And he was like really excited, and he just wanted to learn like everything about Jesus. And so I was like talking to him about Jesus, but I could tell that, excuse me, I just woke up. It's like it's almost 6 a.m. here, but Eastern Standard Time. Um, and I remember there was like a book, and he wanted me to write in the book something down for him. And I remember it was something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it was like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It was something with like numbers, and it was kind of like a game we were playing or something like that. But I was flipping through the book trying to find a place to write, and I saw my name was wrote in this book, and this book was like in a different language. I don't know what language it was in, and I was thinking maybe this is Spanish or something, but I don't know. I didn't pay attention to the actual language. I just knew it was something I didn't understand, and I didn't even try to like figure it out. But one thing that stood out was my name was in it, and it was actually like the nickname I go by, Ilion, which is Aileon. And I seen it wrote in this book on a lot of different pages. I would keep seeing my name in there. Sometimes the A would be like a capital A, and then it would be like Eileon. It was always in cursive. And then sometimes it would be like a lowercase a, Eileon. But I couldn't read anything before my name or after my name. And I know that, Cameron was saying my name, and you could tell, like, that he was having a conversation with me. Like, I know he was I knew that we were having a conversation, but I also knew that nobody in the car knew I was there except for him, you know. But they kept hearing, like, my half brother Chaz and my sister kept hearing um, him talking to me, and it was like they were trying to get his attention, and he would talk to them, like he wouldn't ignore them. Actually, he was pretty talented to be able to communicate with them and me, what seemed to be like at the same time. But he was definitely more interested in learning about Jesus and learning about the teachings of Jesus. And it just made me really happy because um, often in this life, when you are trying to spread the gospel, um, and you're being obedient and you are a true follower of the Lord, you face persecution, you know. And anybody listening to this that is a true follower of Yeshua HaMashiach, that you know what I'm talking about. And we all have this in common, because if we are really on fire for the Lord, it's inevitable. And I'm at the point where I could just, like, I know if it's getting close to 5 or 6 p.m., there's a second wave of demonic attacks awaiting me, and I deal with it every day. So yeah, I mean, you definitely. It's not about just keeping short accounts with the Lord. It's just staying with the Lord constantly. Like you don't. It's like It's like staying in a boat. Like you don't want to try to even put your finger in the water to feel the temperature of the water. You're better off just staying in the boat. And that's what I mean by staying in the word. I mean, don't change the channel. You know what I mean? Like stay on that radio station. Stay on that frequency and don't waver. And I know it's hard because as humans, um, we're so easily distracted. I mean, we've had this issue since kids, since babies. We're so easily distracted, and so it's definitely an acquired skill, a skill to. And I'm not perfect. None of us are perfect by any means. Um, I was watching Pure Flicks last night, actually, and I'm like, man, I need some new material because I almost watched everything on here. Not really, but I mean, I've watched a good chunk of it. But so I was watching what's this guy's name? Anyways, if you got Pure Flicks, you'll probably be able to find it. It's a comedy tournament, and everybody's from like this part of Canada. Something that starts with an S or something. It's like a unique name, but they were doing their comedy tour. And a lot of these people that are going on stage, they're not just like Christians that attend church, but some of them are actually like pastors or youth pastors. And this is an old, this is like from like 2000s. Like, I think the last one was like 2007 or 2012 or something like that. So it's almost like a decade old. But even watching it from that time period, you could just tell um, how Christians are Christians. That's all I can say. How humans are humans. How we are all flawed. Um, we're just all, you just gotta. I love those comedians, but some of them like really bombed on stage, and some of their content, and like they had to get judged. There's three judges, right? But you could tell like the judges didn't address the actual issues, because it's on TV and there's a live audience. It was probably something that you'd have to take each comedian to the side. And honestly, if I would have did the show, like I would have had to review all of the content from these Christians before they performed it, just because some of their content was really not Christian content. You know what I mean? Like even though they was clean and they didn't cuss, just some of the subject material wasn't even borderline. Like they definitely crossed the line on a lot of the things. But it just made me think like we are so imperfect, we're so flawed, we're all living under the curse, and God, good thing God sees our hearts and our minds, and He knows our motives. And even with them, like I know God sees how they wanted to connect with the audience, and you want to cheer them up. But it really is hard to walk, um, to be none of us are perfect, right? So it's really hard to walk with the Lord and live that way, especially when we were born in a fallen and cursed world. But what's so beautiful about God is just that He knows, and He is merciful, and he wants to forgive everybody. And there's just so many different ways that you could look at this life, and I've looked at them from every angle. I've had some conversations with my friends where I was just so upset with God for creating me, for you know what I would say is, why did you create us to make us go through this, and then everybody's going to go to hell? And so I've definitely uh, vented to the Lord, you know. But anyways, to sum up the dream, um, so they got to their destination, and everybody got out the car and they went inside or whatever, and it was weird because like once they got there, like they got home or whatever, um, it was like the scene changed, and it was like me and somebody else was like coming to visit them, and they like kind of knew that we were, I guess, coming to visit my brother, my sister, whatever, my family, my siblings. And I've had a whole bunch of different dreams. Like I've had dreams where my brother Chaz and Michelle weren't in them, and it was just like my other half brothers, Gino and Nikolai. But this one was just focused on them and their kids, and that's probably why, because they got kids, and my brothers Gino and Nikolai don't have kids. But unless one of their girlfriends are pregnant within like the last year that I don't know about. But um, anyways, so when they were inside, um, I could tell there was like conversations about me going on, and it wasn't like, it was almost like a little bit of irritation, like when my name came up. And I really honestly like forgive everybody. Every day there's people that just do horrible things, like, and I'm in all kinds of situations all day, every day. It's where I get really fed up and frustrated with humanity and people in general. But you know, once I get time to cool down, right? Because I'm definitely not the person that is like an instant forgiver. It takes a little bit for me to process it. Usually, it takes time for me to get completely away from that situation and for the enemy to leave me alone, that I can come into forgiveness, because I'm not perfect. Excuse me. I also feel like the enemy makes people yawn when they're trying to do videos. I see it like all the time. Like every time somebody's trying to give a message, they just start yawning out of nowhere. But yeah, it's early. Anyway, so to like fast forward the dream or whatever, I was I was there. I was still in the car, but I was also like I was in the car that was driving to that location, but I was also like inside of the house that they were in, and I just remember that on the inside now it felt like somebody else was talking to my brother, and he was playing like a video game or something, and they were like, "Are you gonna invite him in? Are you gonna ask your brother to come in and hang out?" And it was like that's why I like sense like a little bit of irritation or whatever. Maybe because he was busy playing a game or something. But he ended up coming outside, and I was still there, right? But it was like he still couldn't see me, so it was almost like I was still invisible or whatever. And I'm flying, right? And I was flying around, and I was still talking to my nephew outside. Yeah, so I was outside with my nephew. Somebody else was out there too. I don't know who it was. And it was weird because it was like there was like this wooden uh platform that was like attached to a tree. Like my guess was that at some point in time, this this wooden platform was on the ground next to a tree, and there was a car on it. And then I guess the tree just grew for years and years and years, and now this wood that was like attached to the tree with the car on it was all the way up in the air from the tree, and it was like super super high. So you could tell it was just like an abandoned car from like a long, 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 long time ago, and that tree just grew to where this car was stuck in this tree up in the air. So it was a car in a tree, like stuck in these huge tree branches. It wasn't going nowhere, and so the reason I bring that up is because I flew all the way up to the top and land on it, and it was so high that it was overlooking like houses, and it was really high above the houses too. You know what I mean? It's like three houses above a house. So, and if you're thinking like a normal two-story house, and then three or four houses above that in the air, it was a huge tree. So I flew all the way up there, and so yeah, I think I was talking to the kid about like how to fly and all of that. And so I was flew down, and I see my brother. He actually didn't seem too impressed, But I was like, I thought it was just the greatest thing in the world because like I don't know, like you don't always realize that you're dreaming, but once you do realize you're dreaming, um, you could fly. You do a lot of pretty cool stuff, and so I was talking to my nephew, and he was like, how are you doing that?" And I'm like, "Oh man, I've been probably practicing this." I told him 7 years, but it's probably been my whole life, like down here, that I've been um, learning how to fly in my dreams, and it's just the best feeling in the world. As I just and I remember when I first started learning how to fly in my dreams, like I was super scared, and even like just always scared of the landing is the most scariest part, right? But I was just amazed to see like how far I actually came, like as far as flying, because I still even like years and years ago, I still remember like having like really bad landings, but now it was just super graceful. Like just landing was just like perfect, as perfect as it could get. Very gentle, soft landing, and I was trying to we were like playing with the tennis ball or whatever, and it landed in the mud, and I was like, I don't really don't want to land in the mud. I remember I was like kind of hovering over it because I didn't actually want my shoes in the mud. I think I was wearing like some brown Timberland boots or something in the dream. I didn't want my boots in the mud, and so I didn't land fully. So I was just kind of like hovering, and I was trying to get the telekinesis, like trying to pull the ball, um, just like with our power. We just get powers, I think you just have powers in a dream world, but I don't ever remember working on this power. You know what I mean? And so even in the dream, I remember I could like I pulled the tennis ball out of the mud. So I got it to where it came out the mud and it was hovering, but when I was trying to catch it, it I couldn't catch it. So I tried again, and I was like, I remember I was working on practicing how to be telekinetic, to use my telekinesis to be able to move objects with my mind. And my nephew was just like really amazed at that too, and I was just like, yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna have to work on this one because this is a new talent that I need to work on. But anyway, it was just a good dream, and it just made me make me just wake up really appreciative of God and just how gracious and forgiving and patient He is with us. Cause I'm rotten, And I was as soon as I woke up, I was like, God, please forgive me just for being such a complainer and always just being bent out of shape and in a bad mood. And yeah, I am under a lot of spiritual attack every day. I put in a lot of work, and the Lord knows, obviously what I'm doing. I don't really feel like I need to share that with anybody, but I put it like this: there's not a day that goes by, and multiple times throughout the day, that I am not um, sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ in some way. And so I'll leave that mystery out there a little bit, but every day I'm sticking it to him. You know what I mean? For real. And I know there's there's something happening with that because I've been doing it for years now, and I'm kind of bummed out. Like I wasn't going as hard for the Lord my whole life. It hurts me to just know like I've only been doing it like this for like the last probably 4 or 5 years. But and every year, like obviously, I'm drawing closer to the Lord and I'm doing more for the Lord. But you know, I just wish, I just kind of wish like my mind. I just wish that the devil didn't have such a hold on my life. Um, but one thing I am grateful for is that by not growing up knowing about the Lord and never having like my father talk to me about God or really my father having any type of dialogue like that. Like the dialogue from my father growing up was just survival. Do whatever you can to survive because nobody's going to help you. You know what I mean? That was like something that kind of just stuck in my head. And even the fact that he told me that I can't really depend on him at a young age, that was pretty devastating for me. But it wasn't so bad because my sister and I were already growing up that way because he was never around. Like, he was always paying people to babysit us. So I can't really say that we really started spending time with my father until we were probably already in our double digits. So probably 10, 11, 12 years old, maybe. I can't remember. I think however old you are when you're in like fourth grade, third or fourth grade. So maybe before that. But I feel like that's when we actually started to start, getting to know my dad was around that age. When we was actually in a steady school, and yeah, I want to say like fourth grade, like fourth. I remember really starting to learn learn my dad probably about like fourth, fifth grade. So all the way up until then, and then from fourth grade to like seventh or eighth grade, my dad had a girlfriend, and there was kind of like a family structure, but his mind really wasn't there, because it was just work and her, and we were just kids to him. Like, it was just like, yeah, we're there, and but there wasn't no connection. I could never say that we actually had a real connection with our father. Like, his mind wasn't there. It was like we were there, we were around him when he was available, which was rare. Maybe like an hour. I would say maybe about an hour a day. We probably had time to like be around him, but his mind was never there. So he's watching TV or he's working or he's on the phone. Um, there was no focus on us. There was no quality time, in that relationship with my father. I don't feel like that was the same with my other brothers, Gino and Nick. I know my brother Chaz got it the worst at least from my dad, but he at least had a mother and he did have a family structure where he grew up. So he was privy to having that type of upbringing where there was cousins and aunts and, grandparents. We didn't have any of that. Like, even my brothers Gino and Nick, they had that structure from their mom's side. But from my dad's side, we had none of my dad's family. And we didn't have any of our mom's family because they split up. But anyway, that's neither here or there. I don't want to get into a long thing about that on YouTube, but it's just I don't know. Everything's gonna be way better once we cross over and get our new bodies. So holla, holla, hallelujah. Peace.